So today we will be talking about development of backward regions and areas, which is the topic of your government business uh, interface. So this is what is going to be the today's agenda for the class. All right. So number one, we will talk about the backwardness, its concept and its criteria. Number second, we will talk about the evolution of backward area planning. How did the, with the help of the 5-year plans, how did the planning about, getting a balance in the geographical advancements or disadvancements came into being. So evolution, and then we will talk about the committees on backward area development, which all committees were being framed or formed by the government to give recommendations or suggestions about what a backward area actually is and how can we deal with the various issues which are being faced by the backward areas. Next one, we will talk about various schemes which are there which have been framed by the government time to time, all right, on the backward area development. And finally, we will talk about measures on the backward area development, which all measures or the policies or the acts which the government has framed, all right. So basically the whole topic of development of backward regions or area, this is a basically one topic given there in your syllabus. So we have divided it or into subtopics, various subtopics, so that it becomes easy for you to have a comprehensive coverage of the whole topic. All right. So starting with the concept of backwardness. Now, what is backwardness? Backwardness is basically a lag, or we can say lag, or we can say disparity of something. All right. And when we are talking about regional backwardness, so it is basically when there is a lag or disparity between various regions. Maybe one region is more advanced, another is less advanced. So these type of lag or lackages which are there, all right, we call it backwardness. Now, backwardness has various, we see the concept of backwardness in terms of areas or regions. So backwardness actually can have 3 dimensions, or for that it is backwardness can be relative. Relative means one area is backward, one is advanced, all right. If you compare the states for example, say Bihar, some districts of Bihar as compared to the other district of Bihar, for example, Patna. So within state also there are variation. So backwardness is always relative. That is, one may be more advanced, one may be less advanced, or maybe backward in that sense. Next thing, backwardness may be multidimensional. What is this multidimensional thing? That backwardness, you cannot say that backwardness is in terms of only one concept. Say economically backward. Backwardness can have many dimensions. For example, it can have the dimensions such as economically, one thing, all right. One region can be economically backward as compared to the another. Next is educationally backward. Next is socio-cultural backwardness is there. There can be political backwardness, where the people of one region are less politically active or less politically literate than the other regions of the country or the state for that matter. Geographically also, some states, if you see, they are full of minerals and full of natural resources, but others on the other hand are lacking in that thing, all right. So there can be geographical backwardness as well. And another thing is historical backwardness. So basically there can be various kind of dimensions which are there, which we can relate to backwardness, all right. One more thing with respect to the concept of backwardness is it can be based on perception. Based on perception. Now how? Because see, perception is what you think in your mind, all right. So for one region, for example, a region has one hospital, all right. For example, a village. After a period of 10 years, there is in a village, there has been an hospital has been established. So for the people of that village, they would consider themselves as being advanced, that they have a hospital in their village. But for the other villages who have already 2 or 3 hospitals, or maybe the cities, they would consider that particular village as backward in that sense. All right. So it is based on the perception as well. So the term backwardness can be relative, can be multidimensional. So the concept of backwardness can have different perspectives. All right. So one more thing now. Now, why it is there in the topic, why this topic is there in our syllabus, and why do we have to study it? See, backwardness, when we consider India as a country, all right, or within India, there are different states. So we must know the state or the government of India, they must know where are there lag, or where is there some lack in the, maybe the provisions or some other which are there, the reasons being cited here, that dimensions being cited here, which of the areas are lagging behind, which are doing much better, how to create a balance between the areas so that whole of the country as a whole, if we see India, becomes advanced or can shift from the developing nation to a developed one. All right. So all these factors becomes very important in that sense. Generally, when we talk about backwardness, what specifically comes to our mind is that it may be socio-economical kind of backwardness which is there among areas. But as we have discussed, backwardness can be of various types, and the government from time to time has been taking measures, have been making committees, setting up committees so that they can actually recommend something to address this issue of backwardness. All right. Now, one thing before we move ahead, I want to tell you, and you must be very well aware of as well, that this regional disparity, what we call as regional, if we compare regions and we see that one is backward, one is advanced. So this kind of regional disparity, it actually leads to various kind of problems. What kind of problems? It can actually lead to social conflicts. We can see, all right, that the people can have social conflicts. For example, people from the backward regions of Bihar, if they come to Delhi, or for example, some advanced, other advanced cities such as Mumbai, if they go there, so people of Mumbai, the natives of Mumbai, they would consider them as backward. So there become social conflicts. All right. So this actually invites this regional disparity thing, this issue invites social conflicts. This also can lead to unplanned migration. As I have already told you, that the people, specifically if I talk about North India, so people from Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, from the backward districts or the backward areas, basically, they move to look up the employment opportunities in Delhi or in Mumbai or other advanced cities. So this can cause unplanned migration. People are migrating from there. So this becomes a difficulty for the state to which they are migrating. All right. Because there would be a lack of resources also. So their needs would not be met in the way they should have been met. All right. So unplanned migration also is a problem, and a very important thing which has been a headache for the government since ages now. It is left-wing extremism. Now, what is this left-wing extremism? It is Naxalite movements, as we have seen, which is mostly in the central India or the northeastern states, basically. So it actually invites left-wing extremism as well, because these states actually, these people which have been tagged as being Naxalites, all right. So they consider themselves as inferior. So they have that inferiority complex, and they do not let the government also to interfere in their their issues. All right. So they have this thing. So it causes another issues, for example, not only in ideological form, but also it gives rise to terrorist activities as well. So these are the various kind of issues that can lead to backwardness. All right. So this was the basic introduction towards the concept of backwardness. Now, see, when can we say that one region or one particular area how can we tag that particular area as being backward? All right. So there must be some criterias, there must be some factors, or there must be some problems which have been seen by the government or other people, which actually help them consider or label that particular area as being backward. Why this tagging or labeling is important? Because until and unless we do not know on which parameters a particular area is lagging behind, we cannot actually would be able to address that issue. So what happens is, first of all, the government sets up some criteria, or we say set up some factors, consider some factors on which they decide that one particular area is lagging behind or lacking behind, and on which particular parts the government has to work upon. All right. So considering that, government has set up various kind of committees, from time to time, and these committees have given various criterias to consider backwardness as, to consider areas which can be considered as backward. All right. So moving ahead, let us now just have a quick overview of what can be these criteria. This actually, what I'm going to tell you here is a mixture of what various committees have time to time given various factors as being kind of criteria to tag or label a particular area as being backward, so that they can work upon it. So number one is density of population per square kilometer of area. If this density of population is say for example huge, or if it is more than what is being considered as normal, we consider that area as being backward, because there would be lack of resources, there would be lack of employment opportunities, and hence backwardness. All right. Similarly, next one is, what is the percentage of agriculture workers to the total workers in that particular area? If there is more agriculture worker, now we consider agriculture as a primary activity, and we consider secondary and tertiary activities as being more advanced than the agriculture or the primary activities. So if the percentage of agriculture workers is more in as compared to the total workers there, if we see the ratio and the agriculture workers are more, then we consider that area to be backward. Next is percentage of literate population. It is self-explanatory. If there is more literate people, we consider that area obviously to be more advanced. Next is percentage of school-going children. Obviously, if there are more school-going children, that means people are literate enough, people are aware enough about the educational opportunities and the importance of education, and we consider them as advanced. Next is total per capita income of people in their area. All right. If it is more, it is more advanced. If it is less, it is backward. Next is per capita income from agriculture. Next is, what is the sex ratio? What is the level of industry and mining in that area? It is also a criteria. Next is availability of infrastructural facilities. What is what kind of infrastructural facilities are available in that particular area? Infrastructural facilities mean what is the level of, we can say, hospitals, hotels, or other entertainment sources, or such stuff, or social services also we can include in the infrastructural facilities. Next is, what can be the per capita consumption of electricity? See, even these minute little things have been considered as one among the criterias of what we say backwardness. All right. Next is chronology. It's chronically, basically. It's chronically. Chronically means from a large period of time. All right. Chronically drought prone or flood prone areas. All right. Even such kind of areas, for example, Odisha, it is more prone to floods. So some parts of Odisha which are more prone to floods, or which are more nearer to the sea or the ocean, they are being considered as backward, because they do not get the opportunity for what we say, the establishment of industries there or another facilities as such. Next is healthcare system. How is the healthcare system in a particular area? And the last one but not the least is the poverty rate. If the people are more poorer in a state, we obviously will consider that as backward. So basically these all are the criterias, or we can also consider or call them as factors in deciding a particular area as being backward or advanced in that way. All right. So now moving ahead, as I have told you already that we have subdivided the whole topic of development of backward areas into various subtopics. So firstly, starting with evolution of backward area planning. All right. See, backward area planning actually it started and it got a quick start with the help of 5-year plans. During the 5-year plans, in each plan there was something or the other for the backward area planning and for balancing the regional imbalances. All right. So one by one we will do various kind of what we say various kind of initiatives being taken in various plans. So starting with the first 5-year plan. See, not much I'm going to discuss here because first 5-year plan as a whole had more so many things in that. But what actually it did for the backward area planning was that there were various allocations were made for the development of scarcity prone regions. Scarcity in terms of finances, in terms of natural resources, for example. All right, scarcity prone areas. So there were more various kind of allocations being made to such areas. All right, and even for the balanced regional development, more focus was given for the employment opportunities to be generated there. Employment opportunities. All right. And how was it done? It was done by judiciously choosing the location of the new industrial units to be set up. The location for industries. All right. So this was in the first plan. Basically, various allocations were made. Then there was attempt to create more employment opportunities. And then finally, how was it done? So that there could be industrial area to set up the industries. There could be judiciously choosing the areas where these industries can be set up. Their location actually had to be decided upon. All right. Next plan, which is the second 5-year plan. What happened under the second 5-year plan? Under the second 5-year plan, basically, there was actually establishment of large industrial complexes where in the mineral-rich backward regions. The regions were rich in minerals, but they were overall backward. All right? So in that case, actually what happened here is large industrial complexes in mineral-rich backward areas. All right. So this was the thing which was actually happened in the second 5-year plan. And these backward areas were basically the tribal areas, and that too in the central India was more focused upon in this particular plan period. All right. Next is third 5-year plan. Now what happened during the third 5-year plan? During the third 5-year plan, this plan actually devoted a full chapter towards the backward area planning. All right. That was chapter number 8 and its name was Balanced Regional Development. All right. So this was it. And basically this whole chapter actually focused upon various points, such as it focused upon the diffusion of industries, that various industries should be set up in different areas, not to be concentrated in one or two more advanced cities. Rather, they had to be set up in various cities which were overall backward, so that they can give boost to various employment opportunities to the people there, so that they can actually financially advance or get financially advanced also. They become more aware also, more literate also. So diffusion of industries And another thing, so that economically they can develop. All right. And another thing was dispersed advancement of other sectors such as agriculture, such as small industries, communication, or we can say social services also. All right. So this whole chapter actually in the third plan focused upon diffusion of industries, and not only industries but to the other sectors also, such as social service, communication, small industries, and many other things. All right. Next is the fourth 5-year plan. See, fourth 5-year plan was the very important plan. All right. It has been considered as the what we say there as the watershed in the development, or we can say in the watershed period in the history of backward regional development. All right, in India. It actually did what? It had given various points. All right, let me jot it down for you guys here. It actually identified backwardness in two particular strategies. Say it did what? It recognized there can be target groups, that is the people who are backward, which included SCs, which included the scheduled caste, scheduled classes, all right, the scheduled tribes as well, small and marginal farmers, all right, and other things also, other people also who could be considered as being backward. All right, other thing which was there was target area. All right, after this plan, the policies of the government actually started focusing on the particular groups and particular areas there. So they started calling them target areas and the target groups. All right, even in the this thing, SCs, STs, and even the laborers, the agricultural or the other laborers were also being considered as the target group. Now, what comes under the target area? Target area were the areas basically which were hilly in their terrain, which were drought prone, which were, we can say, other things also we can include here. Industrially backward areas, for example. All right. So flood prone areas. So these kind of areas were being considered as target or target group and target areas. All right. So it focused on people as being target, people as being backward, as well as the areas as being backward. So accordingly, there were various plans, there were various programs which were being formulated under each of the things. For example, under the target group, there was this small farmers development agency. All right, it is small farmers development agencies. There was this marginal farmers development agencies. All right, marginal or the we can say the backward farmers, marginal farmers development agency. All right, under the target area, there were various programs. Specifically under the fourth 5-year plan, there was this northeastern region development program was being considered. All right, there was this industrial backward area development program. All right, one more was there, that is drought prone area development program. So basically various kind of programs were also being highlighted or identified there in the fourth 5-year plan. All right. Acha. One another thing which I would like to tell you here is that it actually provided the center the ways how the center can actually help the backward areas. So it basically gave 3 things on which the center could actually work and can help such backward areas. All right. So I would write them here. What were these 3 things? What were the 3 directions which were being given? It was allocation of central assistance. All right. Central assistance. How can center provide assistance in terms of finances, in terms of resources? How could center provide this allocation? Next is location of central projects. If the center government is taking up some project, all right, so how can the center government locate these projects so that they can actually help the what we say, the areas to become more advanced in that case? And number third is it was national financial policies. All right. How could the national financial policies can be made so that they can actually target the proper or the backward areas in that case? All right. One more thing here is that actually the fourth 5-year plan recognized three different, we can say, three different sectors in which various areas can be considered as being backward. All right. Three what I was telling you, different sectors. All right, three sectors, such as a backward area can be considered as backward in the cooperative sector if there are less of the cooperative societies or industries, private sector, and then the public sector. All right, so there's a little lack of space here, so I would want to make a different, categories here. So this was one thing which we have read about the fourth 5-year plan, that is there were target groups and target areas. All right, then there were three things. How could the center can help the backward areas to become more advanced? And finally, there were the three things on which the fourth 5-year plan actually told the center that there could be three sectors on which an area can lag behind or an area's advancement or backwardness can vary, which were cooperative, private, and public. All right. So why I had told you this fourth 5-year plan in such extensive way? Because this was actually considered, as I told you, as the watershed period in the history of the backward area regional development. All right. So these were the things, these were the basic and the major things which were there, and you can cite in your answer if being asked. All right. Sometimes even straightforward questions can be asked, which was the plan period from which actually the backward area planning started or got a go ahead in that way. All right. So fourth 5-year plan can actually help you in writing a better answer if you are considering or doing that. All right. I would have to erase it here so that we can move ahead with our other plans. All right. Next is the fifth 5-year plan. Now, what happened in the fifth 5-year plan? Similarly, what all plans, as I was telling you, various programs were there. So what all various programs were there in the fourth 5-year plan? All these programs were being implemented there in the fifth 5-year plan. All right. And the fifth 5-year plan basically actually focused on the ecological restoration of the backward regions. All right. It actually focused upon how ecologically these areas can be restored. And it actually had a focus specifically on the tribal areas, on the hilly areas. There was this hill area development program also. All right. And then the desert area development program. All right. So these were the things on which fifth 5-year plan specifically focused upon. Now, the next one was the sixth 5-year plan. Nothing major plan actually was made here. All of these plans which were there in all of the other 5-year plans, these were basically implemented here and they were being brushed up, implemented and updated. They were there in the sixth 5-year plan. So there is nothing much to read about sixth 5-year plan here. Now the seventh 5-year plan. What happened in the seventh 5-year plan? One major thing, other than the implementation and updation of the other programs, one major thing that happened in the seventh 5-year plan was border area development program actually was started during this 5-year plan, the 7th 5-year plan. As I was telling you that in the 5th plan, there were the tribal area development plan, hilly area, desert area. In the 4th 5-year plan also, there were northeastern development area plan. There was this industrial area, industrially backward area development plan, and the drought prone area development plan. So similarly, border area development plan actually started with the 7th 5-year plan. So what is this border area development program? It was basically a centrally sponsored scheme, and it actually focused upon the development of the areas which are nearer to the border, which are touching the international borders. And initially it focused upon the infrastructural development so that the forces can be easily deployed there in the border areas. But later on, other factors also were being considered during this development, such as socially, educationally, economically, other factors were also being considered during this plan. All right. I hope I'm clear till here, everyone. If you have any kind of issues or problems or confusions, you can ask in between the class. Okay. So moving ahead. Now we will understand about what are the major committees which were being set up by the government from time to time. All right. And what kind of recommendations they provided. So there are various kind of committees. Number one, starting with the Pandey Committee. We will discuss them one by one in the later slide. Let us just first see. I am here trying to cover 5 major committees which were there, and from which I think questions can be asked, or even if not a straightforward question, if it is not asked, you can actually cite the names or basic or the major recommendation of these committees in your answer. All right. So Pandey Committee was there, Wanchu Committee was there, Chakravarti Committee was there. There was this committee, National Committee on Development of Backward Areas. Then EAS Sharma Committee was there. All right. So all these committees actually gave recommendations and also various criterias for the regional backwardness, or we can say regional advancement. All right. Balanced regional development, balanced regional development or advancement. So one by one, let us just start with Pandey Committee. Now, this committee was formed in, 1969. All right. It is actually a very famous committee. It was there to suggest a strategy whereby regional imbalances, could be minimized. All right. Minimized or even eliminated. So how could the committee, it actually decided and it said that regional imbalances must be eliminated and must be minimized through what? Through identifying what? Industrially backward areas. All right. So by identifying the industrially backward areas, it could actually minimize the regional imbalances there. So the committee actually gave 6 variables to identify the backward areas. What were these? These were, number 1, per capita income. See, in the initial slide, when I told you the various criterias, these were all from these kind of committees only. All right, such as per capita income was one among the criteria. So it was given by Pandey Committee, as well as other committees also gave this criteria as well. Okay. So per capita income, one thing, per capita income specifically from, we see, mining and industrial sources. What is the per capita income from specifically these sources? Why this? Because we are targeting to identify these industrially backward areas here. All right. Next is, what is the number of workers registered in industries? All right. Next is, what is the per capita consumption of electricity? ये भी था ना criterias में. So it is from him only. Acha. Another thing is, what is the length of roads? See, such kind of infrastructural facilities are also being considered as criteria. Length of roads vis-a-vis, vis-a-vis population size. All right, what is the population size, and then what is the length of the roads? Such kind of such kind of criteria are being considered to decide an area to be backward or advanced. All right. Next, what is the length of surface roads in relation to, or we can say vis-a-vis area? What is the total area of this particular city or a state? All right. And what is the length of surface roads there? So these 6 kind of criteria were there, which the committee actually set up as 6 called as variables to decide upon the backwardness of an area. All right. Now the committee suggested, what was the final suggestion that there should be all sizes of industries to be set up in selected backward areas or the regions through what? Through financial incentives. All right. So what was the suggestion? So the suggestion was all size industries through financial incentives. कि सरकार आप जो है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट आप ऐसे एरियाज को फाइनेंशियल इंसेंटिव्स दीजिए ताकि ये हर एक साइज की रेंजिंग फ्रॉम द स्मॉल मिडिल एंड द लार्ज स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज, हर तरीके की इंडस्ट्रीज ये लोग सेटअप कर पाए. ऑलराइट. तो पांडे कमेटी बेसिकली किस चीज पे फोकस किया उसने? Industrially backward areas per. All right, moving ahead. Now we'll understand about the Wanchu Committee. Now Wanchu Committee was actually established in 1986. It was formed in 1986, and it also was there to study the reasons of regional imbalance, and also it recommended what can be the financial, or we can say fiscal incentives. What can be the kind of such incentives for starting industries in these backward areas? So basically it was also for the setting up of industries. So what was the basic recommendations, or what was the specific suggestion here? That the government must provide land on liberal basis. All right. There must be provision of land on liberal basis to the entrepreneurs, so that if somebody wants to set up his or her own business, they can actually be able to get the land very liberally. No, red tapeism and all. They can get this liberally. Also, subsidy should be given on transport, so that easily raw material or finished products can be delivered from one area to the another area. So these were the 2 basic and the major, what we say, suggestions which were given by the Wanchu Committee. All right. Next up, Chakravarti Committee. Chakravarti Committee was set up in 1972 there. All right. It was the another committee which was there to identify the backward regions. All right. And also the committee viewed the problem. What was the major thing about this committee? That it viewed what we say, backwardness as multidimensional. Kaise? Multidimensional. And suggested major criterias also to identify. जैसे पांडे कमेटी ने दिया था, ऐसे ही चक्रवर्ती कमेटी जो है, it gave major criteria to identify. जैसे कि for example, the committee said that there are various factors, or you should consider these factors in terms of percentage, so that you can decide upon what kind of regional imbalances are there, and how then you would be able to eliminate those what we say, imbalances. All right. So what were these factors? What is the percentage of agricultural population there in the area? How much is the irrigated area available? How much is the net sown area? and literacy. So these were the basic factors. Specifically, these were the 4 factors, major factors which were given by the Chakravarti Committee so that the government can decide upon. Do you remember we included this also and this also in the major criteria? So these were the committees which gave various criteria in that manner. All right. So this was about the Chakravarti Committee. See, I am only touching upon these committees, not in detail, and only to the major and important facts which you can actually cite in your answer, because I don't think there would be any answer and there had not been any question which would ask you only about one committee. All right. Backward area is a topic. One question can come up where you can cite the name of these committees and little more detail about as I'm telling you here. All right. Next one is our National Committee on Development of Backward Areas. This National Committee was set up in 1978 and the chairman was B. Sivaraman. All right. It actually submitted its deliberations in 11 reports on various aspects of backwardness. All right. So what actually it recommended? What was its basic recommendation? It said that the primary unit for identifying a backward area should be the developmental block. So the primary unit to identify backward area, any backward area, should be the developmental block. Block is smaller than district but greater than the village. All right. So that the problems can be easily, considered and then addressed. All right. Now, what kind of factors or what kind of, we can say, variables it gave to identify the backwardness? It said that it is giving 6 types of fundamental backwardness. We can consider them as criteria as well. So what were these? Chronically, this was there in the criteria, drought prone area. All right. Desert area, tribal area. If this is a tribal area, if this is a desert area, if this is a hill area. All right. If this is a flood affected area, flood affected chronically from a longer period. All right. And coastal areas, as I was telling you about Odisha, which are specifically affected by salinity. That is, if the water is saline, there would be less agricultural opportunities there. So these were the 6 type of fundamental backwardness, or we can call them as criterias also, or factors also, that the National Committee on Development of Backward Areas actually gave. All right. Other than this, what this committee had done, it actually gave 3 more factors, 3 other factors to identify or to label label an area to be backward, in the sense that it can be addressed by the government, that एक area backward है, but it has the potential कि उसको हम उस से बाहर निकाल सकते हैं, उसकी backwardness से. So what were these 3 factors? It was number 1, that there should be potential for development. All right. अभी कोई एक ऐसा area है, for example, consider an island which is very secluded near the Andaman Nicobar Islands. Okay, there is no habitation, no people are living there. There is no, forestation there, no agricultural opportunities there. So there is no potential for development. So what this committee said, that there must be potential for development. All right. There also must be the presence of some inhibiting factors, which is actually preventing the area to become advanced. ठीक है, तो कुछ inhibiting factors भी होने चाहिए, and there must be a need for special program to remove these inhibiting factors. All right. तो कुछ factors को हटाने के लिए there must be a need for special programs. ऐसा नहीं कि there are obviously there are some factors backward areas में, but there must be a specific need that need for the special programs that is needed there to remove those inhibiting factors in that case. All right. So this were the various recommendations or the suggestions of the National Committee on Development of Backward Areas. Now moving ahead, EAS Sharma Committee. Now this committee was formed in 1997. All right. It also was set up to evolve the criteria to identify 100 most backward, or we can say the poorest districts in India. All right. The committee actually suggested, specifically it took the name of northeastern states, all the 7 sister states plus Assam also, and Jammu and Kashmir, that these areas had problems which are specific to these areas. These area has specific problems. Those need special attention, must be addressed separately than the other backward areas. All right. So it was the basic thing which the Sharma Committee said, among other things. I'm just telling you the basic and the most important things here. All right. Why was it being set up? And it said that the northeastern and Jammu Kashmir areas actually have their specific problems pertaining to the specific area. All right. So they need some special attention and separate addressal of their problems of other than the, see, for example, if the central government is planning something for the whole all of the backward areas, so the committee actually wanted to say that those things do not consider one particular policy as one size fits all. Do not work upon that fundamental, and northeastern states and Jammu Kashmir are different in their needs, different in their backwardness. So you have to give them special attention. All right. So this was the major recommendation of the EAS Sharma Committee in that manner. Now moving ahead, what are the measures for development of backward areas? All right. So various measures or various programs have been developed by the government time to time to address these issues. All right. So what are these? We will start or move ahead with special category status. One thing is this. Then we'll understand about transformation of aspirational district. One thing was given this. PM Khanij Kshetra Kalyan Yojana. Development schemes for industrially backward districts. Border area development program. Special accelerated road development program for Northeast. And programs for the Naxal affected districts. All right. So these all are the various measures which actually, among others, these are the basic and the special ones which are there, which have been developed by the government from time to time. Now, let us understand about the special category status. All right. First is very important thing that it is based on Gadgil formula. All right. Gadgil formula is, it actually gave various criteria to consider or to treat an area as being backward, such as population was one among the factors, per capita income is there. All right. Tax efforts, what are the tax efforts being made in that particular area, irrigation or power projects, what are the special problems, other special problems. All right. So this was the special category status based on Gadgil formula. Under this, the central government actually does what? It provides the financial assistance to the areas which are being considered as backward properly. All right. Or we can say which are at a comparative disadvantage as compared to the other areas. All right. So it is financial assistance from center to the states. All right. So this is one thing. Now, what benefits do they get? What benefits do the special category status states get? See, there are various criterias as we have seen Gadgil formula ke basis pe. According to these criterias, various kind of states are selected which are given special category status, all right, time to time, which were given. I'll tell you why I'm using this word were given, all right. So there were also what was the basic theme behind this, behind giving this special category status? It was that these states which are being considered backward in particular aspects, these can be given some kind of benefit so that they can actually match up their level with the more advanced states. All right. So what benefits do they get? They get tax breaks. What kind of tax breaks? Such as they do not have to give custom duties. They are exempted from corporate taxes, or we can say sometimes income taxes. They get preferential treatment. Preferential treatment in getting central funds. All right. When they have to get central funds, they get preferential treatment in that way. Now, for the center government's budget, 30% of center's budget amount goes to the special category status states. Also, various, we can say debt swapping, or we can say debt relief schemes are given to them. All right. What other kind of benefits do they get? They get 90% of all the expenditure on centrally sponsored schemes. All right. Whichever are the centrally sponsored scheme, they get 90% of the expenditure from the center, and the rest 10% also in the form of loans from the center. So that in the centrally sponsored scheme, for example, Manrega, they do not have to, these states do not have to put in their own money. The center is providing them 90% of the funds, and even the rest of the 10% they will get in the form of loan. All right. Now, similarly, what जो normal, जो general category states हैं, what do they get? 70% they get through loan, and only 30% they get the expenditure in the real form. All right. So this is the stuff. Now, what are the guidelines? Sorry, what are the guidelines to provide this special category status? Guidelines. What can be the guidelines? As it was based on Gadgil formula only, similar kind of guidelines are these. For example, these should be economically backward. All right. These must be hilly and challenging terrain. All right. These must have low population density and significant tribal population. The states should be strategically situated along borders of neighboring countries. All right. So these are the guidelines to do what? To give this status as special category status. All right. Now, which all are the states with the special category? Which states were given this status? Arunachal Pradesh was there, Assam, Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Sikkim, Tripura, Uttarakhand also get this status in 2010, and then Nagaland. Also, Jammu Kashmir was also a part of this special category state status, but it was revoked after it became a union territory because it was no longer left as a state. Also, in recent past, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Bihar, these kind of states had also been asking about this special category status. They had been requesting the center, they had been putting forth their demand that they should also be given this special category status, even Goa in that category. But Now, what has happened actually is, wait a second, the 14th Finance Commission actually gave away with this special category status. Instead of this, it introduced tax devolution as one of the strategies to meet the resource gap between the well-doing states and unwell-doing states. Also, all right. So according to this tax devolution, now the center will increase its share of tax revenue to states from 32% to 42% also. All right. So the center earlier from its tax revenue, it used to give the states the 32% of that, but now it will be start giving after the 14th Finance Commission recommendations 42%. And what is the major thing here? It is now being implemented also. The government accepted the recommendations and it's had been implemented since 2015. So as of now, there is no special category status which is being given to the states. All right. So I hope I'm clear till here. All right. Moving ahead, transformation of aspirational district. Now, this program, or we can say this scheme was launched in 2018, and its aim was to remove the disparities and to improve the socio-cultural or socio-economic status of selected districts, which were 112 districts from across the states. All right. So what was the core strategy? Now, after identifying कि भाई 112 हमने डिस्ट्रिक्ट जो है वो सेलेक्ट कर लिए हैं, ठीक है, and we will call them aspirational districts. And now what we'll do with them, what we will do with these districts. All right. So what would they do? What would they do? Convergence is a thing. All right. Collaboration is a thing. Strategy was 3-pronged. All right. And competition. So these 3 things were considered as the core strategy under this scheme. So what is convergence? Convergence is, wait a second. Convergence is convergence between the states and central schemes. What all schemes are there? For example, there is some educational scheme in a state and center has also introduced some educational scheme. So there should be a convergence in both the schemes so that implementation of that scheme becomes easy for the states as well. And also the center would now be more, we can say, the center would more be able to address the needs of the states if it considers the states schemes as well. So convergence is there. Let me write it correctly for you. One second. Convergence. All right. Next one. What is collaboration? Collaboration among the citizens and the functionaries. Functionaries, the DC, the DMs of the states and center. All right. There should be a collaboration so that they both of them knows the needs of each other. What is this competition? The competition must be among the districts. Why? Because if they have this competitive power, if they have this competitive mindset, they would try to do better than the other one. Now, how this thing is done, how this competition thing is done, it is done by giving them delta ranking. Now, what is this delta ranking? We call this delta ranking. We give this ranking, the government gave this ranking to various districts so that they can get that competitive feeling in their mind. All right. Now, what's themes of, I'm writing it here, themes for delta ranking. What are these themes? Firstly, every theme has a different weightage. in deciding which state performs how well on each parameter. All right. From 100%, in 100%, there is health and nutrition, which gets 30% weightage. If a state district is performing very well on the health and nutrition, in its total score, 30% of weightage would be of health and nutrition. Then there is education, which is again 30% weightage. Then there is agriculture and water resources. Then there is financial inclusion plus skill development. This got 20%, this got skill development got 10%, and another 10% infrastructure. This was for infrastructure 10%. All right. Now, one more thing is that the states are basically the main drivers in this program. All right. States are the ones who will do the try to do the best in that case. And who is the holy solely at the center level? At the center level, who runs the scheme? It is Niti Aayog. All right. Niti Aayog at the central level. All right. So this was about the transformation of aspirational districts. All right. Next one is PM Khanij Kshetra Kalyan Yojana. It was basically launched in the period 2015. All right. And it was specifically for the welfare of the people and the areas which are actually affected by the mining related operations. All right. People, or we can say areas affected by mining related operations. All right. So there are various, for example, there are states such as Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and you can also consider these Naxalism or the left-wing extremism. Why are these getting into the scene? Because they are actually affecting the mining-related operations being done there. They're actually affecting the people and the areas. So this Yojana was specifically to address the issues of these people and these areas. All right. So it focuses, what is the focus of this? Its focus is on the health of the people and the area, the environment, all right, the economical conditions of the people who are tribal, specifically tribal people living there, and plus providing them opportunities to get benefit from vast mineral resources of their own area. All right. Because they should also get the benefit of the things, the natural resources which are there in their areas. All right. So its focus was on health, environment, economic conditions of these people, plus also to give them opportunities so that they can get benefit from the vast mineral resources from their own area. All right. Now, who implements it? Who would implement? Who implements? It is the District Mineral Foundation. See, this District Mineral Foundation it was being established under the Act. Actually, this Mines and Minerals Act of 2015 actually mandated that there should be the District Mineral Foundation in each district of the country. All right. And then this District Mineral Foundation would provide funds for this thing, to focus on this thing and this thing. All right. It would provide funds for the people there to manage the operations there, and then to help the people who are being affected by these things. All right. Now, there are various areas. All right. Now we have to identify also the areas which are being affected by the mining related operations. So there are areas and there are people also. All right. Areas can be affected. Which affected? They are directly affected, which are directly affected, and which are indirectly affected. All right. The areas which are directly affected are jahan par the activities are actually taking place. All right. The operations actually takes place. All right. And indirectly, the people who are living around, they get health issues. All right. They get health issues, they get environment, the bad environment also they are getting. They have social consequences also, social consequences that other people do not get well along with them, because the people who have set up industries, they're from the outside world, and they do not get very well along with the people in the tribal areas. So various kind of issues are there. So areas are of two types, directly affected and indirectly affected. Similarly are the people who are affected directly and indirectly, as I have told you here as well. All right. Now, one more thing here, I would like to tell you that there are various guidelines that how the fund should be utilized. Guidelines for funds utilization. That is, there are some areas which have been considered as high priority areas and some which are considered as other priority areas. All right. So the high priority areas would get funding of 60% of funds, and other areas would get 40% of funds. All right. Now for what these funds would be used? These funds would be used for drinking water supply, or we can say environment restoration, healthcare, education, and other stuff also. All right. So these are the kind of things which would be done by the provision of funds which will be given by the District Mineral Foundation, all right, under the PM Khanij Kshetra Kalyan Yojana. All right. So let us move ahead with our another program or scheme, which is development schemes for the industrially backward districts. Now see, ministry, specifically Ministry of Commerce and Industry, it has actually been implementing various schemes for providing incentives for the industries. It gives actually incentives for industries to be set up in areas such as J&K, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, northeastern states, Sikkim as well. All right. So they have to give, this ministry has been setting up various schemes which are providing incentives to these various states so for setting up of industries there. All right. So I will be just writing down various kind of schemes which are there for these different kind of states here. So there is this industrial development scheme for J&K and Ladakh. It was there in 2017. Similarly, there is a scheme for HP, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. All right. There is budgetary support scheme for budgetary support under GST regime for units, industrial units in J&K, Ladakh, Uttarakhand, HP, Himachal Pradesh and northeastern states. All right. Also, there is one northeastern industrial development scheme. Scheme 2017, This was there to boost employment and income generation opportunities, plus providing incentives also. All right. Now, what kind of incentives I'm talking about? What are these kind of incentives? These incentives are in terms of central investment incentive, or we can say interest incentive, interest on loan incentive. All right. We can say insurance incentive. We can say income tax incentive. Income tax incentives in terms of income tax reimbursement for the center's share. All right, specifically for 5 years. And similarly, this is for the GST reimbursement for center's share. All right. So these are the kind of incentives which are being provided under all these, what we say, all these kind of developmental schemes for that area. Achha, one more scheme is there, which is freight subsidy. Freight subsidy scheme. It was earlier called as transport subsidy scheme, but now from 2013 onwards, it is being called as freight subsidy scheme. All right. So it provides the freight subsidy to 8 states. All right. States, all these states only, northeastern states, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Darjeeling of West Bengal, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and Lakshadweep Islands. All right, their administration. So they get these subsidies also. So under the development schemes of industry backward district, what we have covered, first of all, why the Ministry of Commerce and Industry actually started these schemes to provide incentives to various states and the districts under various states. What kind of incentives were there? Investment incentives, insurance incentives, interest incentives, income tax and GST reimbursement incentives, and there are various schemes also. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. I have told you 5 schemes here which are sufficient to write a very good and enriched answer. All right. So these are the kind of schemes which were there by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. All right. Now, one more thing before we move ahead. I forgot to add a slide here. Let me just write it down here only, for you only. It was this. 1 second. All right. So the next one is Border Area Development Program. So under this program, as I have already told you that this program was introduced in the 7th 5-year plan. All right. And it had actually 2 basic objectives. What were these objectives? First one is the balanced development of the sensitive border areas. All right. And of sensitive border areas. All right. And this was specifically for the western regions initially, by providing infrastructural facilities. And what was the another objective? It was for the promotion of a sense of security among the local population. See, because when the local population near the border areas, when they live there, they always have this fear, you know, the fear that they have this insecurity in their mind all throughout the time, that there can be bombing at any time, there can be the fight or initiation of a war at any time. So there was this thing that the border area development program, it had 2 objectives. First one is in terms of infrastructural facility, it wanted to develop it, and next to provide the sense of security among the local population of that area. All right. So it was launched. When it was launched during 1986 and 87, it was basically about the balanced regional development. All right. Of the states, specifically of the states bordering Pakistan. All right, such as J&K, Punjab, Gujarat, Rajasthan. All right. And subsequently, later on, it was extended to the, land borders also. All right. And finally, after a while, during 1930, 1993 and 94, it became a centrally sponsored scheme. All right. So initially, it was for the infrastructure development facilities, but later on, it expanded its what we say, its aspects to the another areas as well, such as socio-economic, education, health, agriculture, and others. All right. So, and which ministry is actually responsible for this? Ministry of Home Affairs is actually responsible for overall monitoring and implementation of this program. Initially, this was for the western region such as J&K, Punjab, Gujarat, Rajasthan, but now even the northeastern states are being covered with that. So such as Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland. All right. So accordingly, there are in total 111 border areas of 17 states. All right. Plus 2 UTs. All right. J&K and Ladakh as well. So this was about the border area development program. Next one, special accelerated road development program. All right, this program was for northeast specifically. Northeast के लिए program था. All right, and here the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways actually initiated this program for the northeastern region. All right, for the development of road network, because there is hilly terrain, there is challenging terrain in the northeastern region. So it was actually conceived by the Ministry of Road and Transport that there should be a policy and a program so that there is a road network which is being built so that it becomes easily commutable to the people outside the northeastern region and within the northeast region to commute, to transfer, to travel easily in that area. So what it does is it provides road connectivity to all the district headquarters in the northeastern region. All right, northeastern region by minimum of 2 lanes. All right, highway standard roads are built there. Also, plus providing road connectivity to the backward and remote areas which are of strategic importance of the neighboring countries, which are lying near to the neighboring countries. All right. So basically minimum 2 lanes and it was for 2 to 4 lanes. So what was the basic objective of this? It was that they wanted to upgrade the national highways which are connecting the state capital specifically in the northeastern region. All right. Also to improve the connectivity with the neighboring countries. So let me just write it down here for you. 3 objectives were there. All right. Number 1 is upgrade national highway connectivity to state capitals to 2 to 4 lanes, improving roads which are of strategic importance in border areas, all right, in border areas, and improve the connectivity with neighbor countries also. All right. So these are the objectives. These were the objectives of this special accelerated road development program for the northeastern region. All right. Next one, programs for the Naxal affected district. See, in India, Naxal affected district are we consider or we call them as red corridors. Why? Because these are very dangerous, because there are so many instances of bulleting and terrorist activities such as. So the violence actually which is there in these Naxal affected areas, it is the violence actually is affecting the people and the areas in terms of their advancement, their socio-economic advancement, their educational advancement, their economical advancement. So there are various programs which are being framed or which are being formed by the government from time to time to address the issues which are being faced by the people of these areas. So considering this, number one was in 2015, there was this national policy and action plan specifically for these Naxalite regions only, Naxal affected district. It was there to provide security and development and to provide the rights and entitlements of the local population living there, the local communities living there. All right. Now, this national policy actually had various schemes under it, and other than that, which actually focused upon providing the security plus the rights, and we can say entitlements of local communities. All right. So there are other schemes also, other specific schemes. So I will write it down here for you guys. Number one is security related expenditure. Also, this is a scheme which we call as SRE scheme. What is this? Under the central government, under this, the central government actually reimburses the state governments, of 11 left-wing extremism affected states. All right. What do they reimburse? They provide them the security related expenditure. What they do? What they do? Of in these states, 90 districts are there. All right. What is this expenditure related to? This expenditure is related to the training needs of security forces, training needs of security forces. All right. The ex gratia payments to the soldiers or to the families of the soldiers who have died or killed or being injured in that case. All right. Compensation to these left-wing extremism cadres who actually wants to surrender to the government. All right. So these are the kind of expenditure which is there under this particular scheme. All right. Now the next one under this scheme, other specific schemes is number second is special infrastructure scheme. What was this for? This was for the fortified police stations. Even the police stations need to be fortified because there is always kind of, this is a routine work, routine exercise there in the Naxalite regions to attack the police stations there. So even the police stations need to be fortified. So there is this special infrastructure scheme for them as well. There is this road connectivity plan, or we can say another one is there for the road requirement plan. Actually, this road requirement plan is the first phase and this connectivity is the second phase of this plan only. All right. There is the skill development plans. There is this educational initiatives. There's financial inclusion plans. There are, I will write it down here, mobile towers installation plans. Also, फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन जैसे कि न्यू ब्रांचेस एंड न्यू एटीएम्स एंड अबाउट दिस एजुकेशन इंसेंटिव्स, न्यू केवीएस केंद्रीय विद्यालय और जवाहर नवोदय विद्यालय should be set up in such and such cases. All right, so these are the programs for Naxal affected district. So today in our class, what we have discussed the topic of government policy for the development of the backward areas or regions. All right, it is a topic under GBI. We have covered and we have divided the topic to have a comprehensive coverage of that. We have discussed about the concept of backwardness. We discussed about the criterias. Then we discussed about various committees which have been set up, the evolution of the planning of this backward area development, then committees, and then the schemes we have discussed, and finally the measures and the programs we have discussed under this topic. All right, I hope, and even if you read the study material also along with the classes, I hope this, this particular topic has got a well and a nice coverage. Still, I would advise you to please keep yourself updated with the current affairs, because daily there are amendments in such programs. So, for example, see this case only, when initially there was only Western region, for example, in the previous slide, there was only initially it was for the Western region, and then it was there for the Northeastern region as well. So various developments keep taking place, various new programs keep adding on. So to make your answer effective and much, related to the current scenario, please be updated with the current affairs, and rest, the static part is here. So that is all for today. And if anybody has any kind of doubt, you can please ask, or we shall end our class here. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.